I'm going to talk a little bit about flat feet today. A lot of people have asked me in the past, can you correct flat feet with these biomechanics? And my answer is always undoubtedly yes. And today I'm going to tell you why I'm so sure. Let's first start with what are flat feet? So another way that they like to call this is fallen arches. Why is this a bad thing? So typically people that have flat feet might have some foot pain. They could have some swelling, like they get tired faster when they're standing or walking. Some people, like there's a tight correlation with lower back pain, poor posture. I don't really believe that it's because of poor posture. I think that poor posture and flat feet are just different sides of this whole biomechanical collapse equation. Basically, the collapse manifests itself in the feet, in the body, in the skull, in the jaw, right? So it's not that one causes the other, it's that all of these things compensate as your curvus P flattens. So this whole biomechanical complex kind of works together. It's obvious that the way that they try to treat it doesn't work. Okay, so what do they usually do? They give you foot inserts, so they do surgery, or they tell you to do arch strengthening muscles. And when you listen to the people that have done this, right, like the story that you always hear is, okay, they made a little bit of progress and then flatlined and then regressed. You never hear someone that's like, oh yeah, I completely cured flat feet forever. Because if they did that, then they didn't really have flat feet to begin with. Because you don't just cure it by doing muscular or any of those things. I'm going to tell you a little bit of my story. I had flat feet ever since I was a little kid. I was also pigeon-toed. I was probably like 3 years old or so when my mother first started telling me that I should walk with my feet out because I was pigeon-toed, and I would always wear out the inside insoles of my shoes and sneakers, and I would wear them out really quickly because I was so pigeon-toed, and I'd wear everything out. So I was pigeon-toed and flat foot. My mom started putting me on various foot inserts, and so like I think my entire childhood until I was a young teen, I had these foot inserts. And then even as an adult, like I continued to believe that these were helpful, even though I didn't really feel any change. And I wore, foot insoles for many, many years, probably until my 30s. I think that all of that was a complete waste of time. I don't think it saved me from anything, and I'm going to explain more. After 2014, I was in this, new world where I understood that there's a connection with dentistry or with your teeth. And I noticed when I was improving in 15 and again in 16, like every time I improved, I noticed that my arches looked like they were like more curved, right? And I would look at my feet and they would almost look strange to me. Like I always had these very flat feet, and then all of a sudden I could feel more and more arches developing. And some of the releases I had during that time were as if muscles were releasing in the soles of my feet. You would feel this like muscle spasm that you didn't even know was there because your body kind of turned off the signal, and then all of a sudden it releases and you're like, oh wow, like there must have been a muscle in there that was in spasm for years because it just released. You'd go through that a number of times, and then often like I would wiggle my feet around and all these like knuckle cracking would happen as if things are mobilizing and moving, and they would get more flexible. And then I would also notice that, I had more arches to my feet. And so I started putting that connection, and then, that pattern repeated because I went up and down for years. And so I saw the same pattern every time I was improving, and I would notice that when I was doing badly, the feet had flattened again. And when they flatten, it's less obvious. Like you don't, there's no muscle spasm release. You don't even feel the muscles go into spasm. It just happens gradually. And that's why, you don't even know that is flattening when it happens. So I put together these patterns. It became very clear to me the more times I saw the pattern repeated. Now I'm planning to finish this the last time, and I noticed that my arches can just improve and improve and improve. The other thing that I noticed, which I found interesting, was usually when I was young, even before 2014, I did some kickboxing and I would kick heavy bags, and other people in my class would be able to hit it much harder than me. And when I hit it, my shins really hurt a lot. And I just put that off to, okay, like I gotta just keep kicking it and ignore the pain, and eventually like all the pain sensitivity will die, and you'll just be able to kick it. But like that never really happened for me, and I did kickboxing probably for a year and a half or so. And I was still like I wouldn't be able to kick that heavy bag like other people. And then I remember when I had improved, I was kicking a heavy bag for some reason. I think it was in Vietnam, and we were at a gym by chance, and it just didn't hurt, and I was surprised. I just kept trying to kick it harder and harder and harder, and I noticed that for some reason it hurt a lot less. And the other thing was walking on the beach. So this is another one I've noticed many times, is that when I was doing well, I could walk on rocks barefoot and it wouldn't even really hurt me. But when I was not doing well, I was very sensitive to walking on rocks. And so what I think happens is that when your whole body's compensated, like you just feel certain things, it triggers pain much easier because, maybe all the muscles and everything is screwed up. Whereas people that are very structurally healthy, they're not as sensitive to that, right? So I bet that people with really good spines and whatnot can walk on rocks very easily. Like this would be a terrific experiment to run because I think I'm pretty sure what it would show is that people that have bad spines and bad structure are going to have a very painful time walking on those rocks, and people with very good structure are going to walk on it like it's nothing. So to wrap up, I think that the flat feet are just a function of these biomechanics. I remember a friend told me, like, when I told him this, he's like, yeah, I can, whatever, like everything's a function of these biomechanics according to you. And, when I think about that, I'm just like, yeah, like that's just more logical to me. What is the alternative? The alternative is that what? It's genetics. Everything's genetic, even though like you can point to very big logical flaws in that argument. Or is it lifestyle? Even though you have some people that have a very shitty lifestyle, but they still have great, structure. And so all these things that we believe have tons of exceptions. What I am saying with this structural collapse, like the patterns just match so much tighter and it is so much more logical. It is probably this structural collapse because the alternative makes much less sense when you think about it. The last point I want to make is your whole body moves as a system, right? When you improve your structure, you don't just improve the soles, the arches in your feet. Everything improves together. Your skull's going to improve, your spine's going to improve, your flexibility is going to improve, and the arches in your feet improve. Like this is an entire system, and that is one thing that I've really taken away and has always consistently held true these past 10 years.